Welcome back to Call for Help. I hope you're watching every Wednesday when Alex is here, because this is great. We are bit by bit, inch by inch, becoming Photoshop experts. And one of the keys, one of the most important things in Photoshop, you see it every time an expert comes in, is layers. Layers, 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 and layer blending in particular. So we've shown layers a little bit, but let's talk about layer blending. Photoshop master, digital media guru, DV Garage's Alex Lindsay is here. And by the way, stay tuned, because DV Garage has an excellent offer we're going to tell you about at the end of this segment.
Muscati.
Muscati? What's that?
It's good afternoon in Shona.
Oh, you're going to Africa?
I am.
Where?
Next week.
Shona is spoken where?
Shona is spoken in Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, and so...
and how do I say, you say good afternoon?
Muscati.
Muscati.
If you want to ask... there are some...
Simba!
Yeah.
No, that's lion. So, anyway, that's lion in Tarzan. I don't know what it is in actually Shona.
Exactly.
So how would I say, if you say good afternoon to me, what do I say back to you?
Well, you'd say Maswetase.
Maswetase.
And I'd say Dasweta, kana masquerao.
What does Maswetase mean?
How has your day been?
How you doing?
And then I would say my day's been fine. Dasweta.
Yeah.
Is my day's been my day's fine.
Misweta, disweta.
Dasweta.
Dasweta.
And then I would say kana masquerao.
Which means?
Which means I'm fine, or how has your day been? So it's kind of a return.
Are you fluent in this language, or
no,
is this, you just picking it up because you've been there before?
I've been there a couple times, and the key is anytime you go to an African country, the key is if you start learning more than just good morning and good afternoon and so on and so forth, the people are just amazing. You know, they just love talking to you. And
you're going there to teach Photoshop and
3D compositing, and
now we're hoping to get, and if Apple cooperates, we're going to be able to see you through this new iChat AV and the new camera that Apple's shipping.
Yeah, we've got iChat AV running on them here and on my laptop, and we just got to get the cameras set up. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
We're going to talk to you in Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
all right, but that's for now, and we'll introduce your replacement because you're going to be gone for a month.
Right.
And you'll come back, I hope.
Definitely.
We count on you.
Absolutely.
But we'll meet your fill-in guy. But first, let's take a look at blends.
Okay, so now we've talked a lot about blends in a lot. You know, if you go through the tutorials or any of the old shows, you'll see me just say, okay, now do this with a blend and do that for a blend. And so I wanted to stop and just kind of talk a little bit about what they're actually doing. Okay. So the thing to remember when you're talking about blends is that you think of it as the whole image, but really what's happening is each pixel is doing something to a pixel below it.
So a blend is taking different pixels and blending them together?
Yeah, the simplest blend would be an opacity.
Okay.
So I make something partially transparent. So for instance, if I turn this little sample on, this is just a little test image.
Okay.
If I select this and I turn the opacity down, you know, it's just,
so you're blending two layers together. Okay.
So the top layer has half the opacity.
It's see-through.
Yes, it's see-through. Okay. So that's the simplest version. Now, what we're going to talk about now, and the thing to note is there is a ton more on the web. So on the Call for Help website,
we're just going to give you a flavor.
We're going to talk about the most important things. Okay. So the most important thing, if we turn this back up, is first of all multiplying.
Okay.
Okay. Now what?
This is another blend, but it's instead of opacity, it's a different kind of blend.
It's actually, instead of just doing a different level of see-through ability, this actually applies an equation. What it's actually doing is it's taking the pixels and literally multiplying them together. Okay. The values. You know, Photoshop works in numbers.
Right.
So it's not, it looks like an image to us, but to Photoshop it's just pure numbers.
It's just numbers.
So what it's saying is, here's the deal, take the pixel value and multiply it to the other pixel value. And what that means is if you multiply 1/2 times 1/2, you would get 1/4. This is back to old algebra.
But now we don't really have to know that.
You don't have to know that.
Just try it and see what happens.
But and the effect that has is that it'll just get darker.
Okay.
You know, because it's cutting
down.
It's reducing it. But that's why some people think multiply should go the other way, but that's why it's really smaller.
Think of it as division, even though it says multiply.
Exactly.
It's getting smaller.
So what you can see here is when I turn this on and off, where it was pure white, it doesn't do anything. White has no effect. Where
the original kind of weird sample. Right?
Exactly. As this blends, gray has some effect.
Yep.
And then the black here has
darkens it.
Exactly. Now, if I switch this to screen is the exact opposite of multiply.
Okay.
So what it'll do is it will go the other way. So screen will make things lighter instead of darker.
See, I have to remember that because it's counterintuitive. You would think multiply would increase and screen would diminish. It's vice versa.
Vice versa.
Okay.
So now so these two, and there's some the color dodge and linear dodge are different forms of screen. Color burn and linear burn are different forms of multiply. I mean, they're related but different.
Now, a technical question: we're doing a layer blend to 2 layers. Which layer do you select to do the layer blend?
The layer above.
The top layer.
Right.
Okay.
And it will do it to, whatever image
is underneath.
And that means that you want to think about the layers, they're stacking all the way up as you go up.
Okay.
So this one will apply to everything below it.
Got it.
As you're working through it.
So you select the top layer, then go to the layers menu, and you can select a blend from that menu.
Exactly.
Got it. Got it.
Now, the final one, and one of the most important ones, is either overlay or hard light.
Okay.
We'll select hard light because it's the easiest one to understand.
Okay.
Hard light does both screen and multiply at the same time.
Oh man, you had to do it to me. I just understood screen and multiply, and now you've got me confused.
But if you look at this image, 50%.
It subtracts and adds.
Yeah, but what it does is it goes both ways.
Yeah.
If you look at 50% gray in the center, what you see is that nothing happened.
Right. That's where you get 0 change.
You get no change with the 50%. When it went dark, it multiplied.
Yeah.
So anything darker than 50% gray multiplies. Anything brighter than 50% gray screens.
What would you use that for?
I'll show you. So for instance, here is this gray value, and we've done this before. So here, this is just a 50% gray value. And if I go to, now hard light and overlay are the inverse of each other.
Okay.
So I'm going to set this for overlay for right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my dodge and burn tools. And those are ways, this is old photographer stuff.
Yeah. I
and
remember went to the old darkroom days. Yeah.
Exactly. Now I could do it to my original image, but I don't want to damage my original image.
Always work in a layer.
So by having it 50% gray, I have no effect on the layer. But if I start dodging, I'm dodging and burning and having the same effect, on it. Or I can, let me jump over to burn.
So is it darkening?
And it's darkening it.
Oh, look, that's
so you can
really
see
great.
I'm burning in, but I'm not applying it to the original. I'm applying it to a layer, which if I look at the layer, if I turn this back to normal, that's what I'm doing.
That's what you're actually changing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
very
now
interesting. Now that's with hard light?
That's with overlay, which is the exact opposite of hard light.
Okay.
We hadn't quite gotten to that, but that's how you would use that. Now another, and if I don't like the effect, I can lower the effect now. I can do all these things I couldn't do.
So this would be a way you use to do retouching, to change areas to darker or lighter.
There's 1,000 ways to use them. I mean, another way that I can use this is if for instance, I want to intensify an image, make it more contrasty. I can set this one to hard light and see how everything, because what happened is the brighter colors went brighter and the darker colors went darker, so I made it. So a lot of times if you have like for instance, a very washed out photo, if you do a hard light over top of itself, just the same photo over top of itself on a hard light, it'll make everything look,
more saturated.
Vibrant.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So it's a great
I actually have a ton of pictures I brought back from Mexico and used a good camera, used a good Olympus 5 megapixel camera, but some of them are washed out.
Right.
So I could use this hard light as an overlay.
It won't fix everything,
but it'll bring some of those colors
it's a great way to jump in. You can also do text effects, like for instance, now, just as an aside, people should write that number down.
Write that number down.
So you see this number, we're going to show you something in Photoshop.
Is the capitalization sensitive?
It is.
Okay.
So they should write that number down.
Lowercase TV, uppercase G. Okay.
All right. So I'll get to that in a second. So anyway,
I like that.
If I have this, let's say I have this image and I've got a logo or something I just clipped out of something else, and I want to have this. If I set this to multiply, because white has no effect.
Oh, look!
It just pops.
Go look at that. What an easy way to get rid of the white.
Instead of trying to select it or anything else, you can just, if you have it over pure white, you can just boom, drop it on.
You used multiply with what? With a white?
With a white, it has a white background and black. Anything, it's darker. Oh. So now I can go the other way. If I do screen,
then the white stays and the black goes.
You can just see the image going through it. So you have this little cutout.
I'm going to use that. I love that.
And then you can also have this kind of nice in-between effect. If you do like overlay, you get this, it brightens everything.
Kind of transparent.
It wouldn't work with this photo perfectly, but it is a.
We have, of course, many more details. That's a long menu, that blends menu, but those are a few of the key elements.
And I went through almost all of them. You show all of them on the web. So if you go up to callforhelp.com.
We love that. Now, DV Garage has you do a suite of tools, software tools.
Right. We have a lot of tools for people who are just trying to get into visual effects or 3D. One of our oldest tools is the 3D toolkit.
Right.
And it comes with a full working version of Electric Image, actually the one that I used on Star Wars.
A really
so, I mean,
neat program, yeah.
Fully capable.
That's a 3D rendering program.
Yeah, and you can, there's nothing about it that's disabled. It doesn't have watermarks. It doesn't last for a certain amount of time, so it's a full working version of a 3D app.
Right.
It comes with 28 tutorials, 4 hours of video, a lot of it from me, on getting people started in 3D. So if you've never done 3D...
I know we have so many viewers who want to do this, especially kids who want to get into this business. They see Star Wars, they see The Matrix, they say, I want to do that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
This is how you would get started.
It really is. It's